कुमार मनीष करके लिखते हैं $1,185 ये आपका उसमें है क्या?
मनीष कुमार का मनीष अच्छा
Welcome, students, to and the other learners to the today's session of marketing management. I am Narender Tuli. I am from IRTS 1982 batch, but have been associated with IGNOU for different counseling sessions, particularly about marketing and some other areas also. Today's topic, of course, is about marketing management. We'll be having total of 4 sessions with me. We'll try to cover up the basics of the subject because for us limited time to go into the details, but we'll try to give you an overview of the subject so that you have an idea of what to expect when you are actually going through your study material and maybe some other lecture sessions and counseling sessions, different points of time. Now, marketing, what do you understand by market? What do you see on the screen? It's a market. So, where people go to buy things and sellers are there to sell their goods is a market. So, it could be a place. Market word comes from Latin word marketis, which means a place where buyers and sellers meet for the business. Traditional have been haats, melas, and then the latest is the e-commerce sites. And depending upon what is the end purpose of the term, different terms are used for the market. It can be used in respect of the network of institutions like wholesalers, distributors, stockists, retailers, and others who deal in a product. It can also be used as like say we say, is there sufficient demand for the black and white TVs now? No. There's no market for that. So, it can be used in that term also. There are 2 meanings related to this. Wholesalers and other institutions which are part of it. Without that, it will not be possible to serve the customer. So the demand part, the demand for a product is the result of what the customers are willing to buy and have the capacity to buy. Markets can be broadly divided into the 4 types. Consumer markets. We all are consumers. We buy goods, we avail services, essential commodities, cosmetics, detergents, so many other things. We avail services, banking, insurance, transportation. So they are consumer market. Business markets, which are those are business customers. Industries, other business houses, they buy things to be resold. They buy raw material to be manufactured into the other products which are sold again into the market. The other business markets. Global markets, vis-a-vis the national markets, refers to all those markets which are beyond the national boundaries. Multinationals work there. Then some of the are the what you call non-profit markets, NGOs, religious bodies, educational institutions which are as trusts, public libraries. Their organization setup is similar. Only thing is they don't work for the profit motive. And of course, government is a big market by itself in the sense that government purchases a lot of quantities for its requirements, goods, services, for redistribution at times like even the PDS, public distribution system, government buys from the market, redistributes to the public. And government buys so many other things also from time to time for use by its offices. And of course, PSUs, public sector undertakings, there's a whole lot who are buying goods and then selling them also in the market. we have been talking of the market. What is marketing? Whatever we do as part of the uh, our process of buying things, and the marketeers do making it available to us, are linked to the marketing. So marketing is an activity. Marketing activities and strategies result in products being made available that satisfy the customer, while at the same time they make some profit for themselves. They are not doing it as a service. They are doing it for making some profit for themselves too. But at the same time, they result in the products being available to the customers who feel satisfied by making use of those products or availing of those services. So the marketing can be defined as, if you have to give a definition, process of ascertaining consumer needs, converting those needs into the products or services, and then moving those products and services to the final consumer. Emphasis is on profitability. It should result into some profit for the seller. At the same time, it should result into customer satisfaction. And in the process, resources which are being used must be put to optimum use as far as the organization is concerned. Philip Kotler, one of the management gurus, had used the term meeting needs profitably. We meet the needs, but at the same time make profits too. American Marketing Association had defined it as performance of business activities that directs the flow of goods and services from producer to consumer or user. This definition was subsequently revised to the activity, set of institutions, and processes. Activity, set of institutions, and processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. So in this revised definition, the importance of exchange process has been highlighted. What is exchange? When we exchange a thing, we are giving or receiving something and in return for something else. Like when we are there in the market, we buy something, we may pay for it in terms of money, or the traditional old markets used to be barter system. We take something, we give something in return. Because with the coming up of the money as a medium of exchange, money is the source which is exchanged for availing services or buying goods. Philip Kotler had stressed on another thing: superior customer value. What is the value? When you buy something, you pay a price, that is the cost for you. Then you expect certain benefits. Those benefits depend upon the quality, service, and the price. The difference between the benefits expected and the price which you pay, the cost which you pay, results in the value for the customer. If the quality is better, benefit increases. If the quality remains the same, price increases because of the higher costs, the value decreases as far as the customer is concerned. Customer is concerned more with the value which he sees when he buys a good or avails a service. Why does a customer buy a thing? Because he needs the product. Need is the state of being deprived of something. You don't have something, so you feel the need for it. Of course, needs, wants, and demands, there can be slight difference. It can happen that you need a thing, but you don't want it. Maybe just simply because you are not aware. Or you may want a thing, which you don't need. A drunkard may want to have liquor but doesn't really need it. A person may need preventive health care but may not want it, either because he is not aware of such a thing being available, or maybe because he is not in a position to pay for it. If a customer wants something, he needs it also, and is willing to pay for it, then that results in demand. A marketeer or a producer is primarily concerned with the demand, because if he produces a product for which there is no demand, then there is no point. So, demand is basically a need backed up by the capacity to pay for it, which is met by the supply made by the marketeers, producers, service providers. In this context, a reference is made to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You might have read that as part of HR also. Maslow describes these needs in distributes these in the 5 categories. At the bottom are physiological needs: food, water, shelter, which we all need. Then come the safety needs, need for the security, protection, insurance, banking products, vaccinations. They are part of the safety related products and services. Social needs, you want to belong to a social group, you want to be loved, you want to receive love from the people around you. Esteem needs, self-esteem, recognition, status. And at the top is self-actualization, which is a stage when you try to do the self-development and realization. Important point with reference to this hierarchy of need is that satisfied needs are no longer the motivating factors. Unsatisfied needs remain the motivating factor. You want to buy something, you will go for it only if you have not had it before. Most of the time, if you have had it and any of your needs have been satisfied, then subsequent demand for it may be less. So unsatisfied needs are the motivating factors for the customers to go to the market for availing of that service or buying that product. This is the chart which shows you the same thing. Physiological needs, air, water, food, safety needs, personal security, employment, resources, love and belonging, esteem, self-actualization. Self-actualization, like if a painter paints, he may not be doing it for money, he may do it just because he loves to do it. That is the stage where the self-actualization comes. From the customer's perspective, these needs can be categorized into again the 5 types. Stated needs, what the customer actually explicitly states that this is what he wants. He wants, say, customer says he wants to open a bank account. Real need is more specific. Say that you want to go to have a bank account, which is basically a savings bank account, and it should be some bank which is nearest to your area, nearest to your where you stay, your residential area. Unstated needs, you may like to have a debit card, a checkbook facility. That is all part of the. This is not specifically stated. When you want to open an account, it's not opening an account is a real need. Unstated need is add on to that, having a debit card and a checkbook facility. And if you go to the bank and you find the premises very neat and clean, and the behavior welcoming, smiling, people behave decently with you, then that is a delight, that adds to the delight need. Secret need, you may not want to admit, but it's possible that you are not comfortable with the net banking, so you don't want net banking. That is in your mind, but you don't want to really to share it. This is the needs as seen from the consumer's point of view. Now, what does a person actually want is affected by the individual's personality, the society which he grows up in, the social culture which he is exposed to, and as I mentioned earlier, the wants which are backed by the willingness to buy and the purchasing power. People, everyone may want to have something, but they may not be willing to go for that, or even if they are willing to go for that, they don't have sufficient purchasing power, which will result in the demand. As a marketer, companies, producers, they try to price what does the consumer need and wants also, so that they can produce goods and services which can meet those unmet needs of the consumers and fulfill those needs. Now, we have been talking of markets, marketing, activity, needs, wants, customer. Now, we make a fine distinction. Normally, terms customer, consumer, user may be used loosely, interchangeably. But as a marketing student, you should know the difference. A customer is a person who buys the goods, but he may not actually be consuming that or using that. What can happen is that half of the family buys the goods and the rest of the family consumes those goods. So, user or the consumer is the whole family, whereas buyer may be only the head of the family. Consumer and user are the interchangeable words, which can be used person who is using or actually consuming. They are the consumer or the user. Customer is like it can happen in the organizational context that actual buying may be done by the purchase department, purchase officer, but the usage is by the rest of the organization. Whole of the organization uses. Like say small thing as stationery. Stationery, each one doesn't buy in the organizational context for him, individually for himself. It is bought by someone, but made available to the rest of the organization for usage. So, customer and consumer could be different persons. Of course, sometimes it can happen that the customer and the consumer will be the same. Like say electricity, you buy electricity, you are user also. Could be the same. But this distinction is important to be understood by the marketer, because idea is that whom will you target for your marketing activities. Another point to be noted here is that why does a customer buy his product? You buy a physical product, but at the back of your mind, the idea is that what are the benefits which you will be able to avail from that product. Benefits will be actually from usage of that product, and it will come if the quality is better, you feel happier. If the after sales service is better, you feel even more happier. Warranty, repair cost, home delivery, all these are the aspects which are there associated with the buying of a product. More of such benefits available, happier the customer is. And of course, we presume that customer is a rational person. When he buys a product, he evaluates all these benefits and the price which he is required to pay. And it is not only the price, but the customer pays price in money terms. In addition to that, he spends some time. He makes efforts. Some energy is spent for making purchase of that product. So for the customer, value of the product is total benefits which he receives minus the total cost. Total benefit will be what he gets by consuming it and the other related services. after sales service, free home delivery, warranty, repair costs. All these are part of the benefits. And costs include the price spent, the money value, and the efforts and the energy spent for that. So, as a marketer, what you are supposed to do is you add more value. If you add more value, then the customer will prefer your product to that of your competitor. Satisfaction of the customer is more if he is getting more than what he expected. And you buy something with certain expectations. If those expectations are not met, customer will be unhappy. If you get more than what you were expecting, you are happy. You will feel satisfied. So that satisfaction is the post-purchase phenomenon, which comes from preparing it with your expectation which you had before you made the purchase. So experience minus expectations will be the measure of customer satisfaction. If the customer is satisfied, then he will be a repeat buyer for you. He will develop some loyalty towards your product. And of course, having a repeat buyer is much easier than ensuring a new buyer for your product. Over a period of time, the marketing philosophy concepts have developed from production, product, to selling, to marketing, to holistic marketing now. We will not develop on that in detail because of the limitation of time, since we are supposed to give only a bird's eye view. But the fact is that as the economy has developed from underdeveloped to industrialization stage, semi-developed, developed stage, accordingly, the marketing concepts, the philosophies have changed from production to product to selling to marketing, and the latest one being the holistic marketing concept. This is the graph showing you the area. Holistic marketing covers basically 4 components. Internal marketing, which covers your marketing department, senior management, other departments within the organization. Integrated marketing, communications, products and services, and the channels. Relationship marketing, relationship with the customers, with the partners, with the other channels. And performance marketing, performance in terms of the sales revenue, brand and customer equity, ethics, environment, legal, and the community at large. As is mentioned earlier, we are not going into these details. The purpose of it is that relationship marketing should be mutually satisfying, long-term relationship with all the stakeholders. Integrated marketing, mixing and matching of marketing activities to maximize individual and the collective efforts. When each of the marketing departments related in the organization work together, then the organization happen to achieve the marketing success. So that is why it is called integrated. It is not only marketing which is involved in the marketing process, but all the departments within the organization. Internal, it is not only that customers which are there to whom you sell the products, you have to do the marketing, you have to sell the ideas to your staff also, your employees. That is internal customers of the organization. Performance marketing, of course, getting the financial and non-financial returns for the business and society at large. The next step concept in this is the marketing mix. When we talk of marketing as a function, as an entity, there are 4 P's involved. Actually, these are the 4 names, product, price, promotion, and place. And since all those four start with the word P, we refer to it as the 4P. Taken together, all four P's are term used is marketing mix. When a firm decides to have his marketing strategy, they may use all the four P's in different possible combinations. It is not necessarily that each one is equal this thing. These four P's can be used in different possible combinations, adding something, destructing, detecting something, modifying something, so that your marketing strategy is linked to your product, your market, your competition. So how do you do a marketing mix? You make use of these four P's, fine. But how do you go about it, the process? First thing is identifying the unique features which the product will offer to the customer, and how that particular feature is important for the consumer. Why he should go for this. Then you have to understand that what the consumer actually needs, whether the features which you are trying to identify, whether they match the needs what the consumer has, what value he will associate with that particular feature. Then the third step is trying to understand the competition. What price the competition is charging, what discounts they are offering, what warranties they are offering. Next step will be evaluating the options where the customer is more likely to make the purchase. Whether like say these days it is possible to do it online also, whether it will be going to the offline shopping market or he'll buy it online. So many different options are available. Then communicate to him, to your customer, the price, the place where it will be available. All this becomes part of your promotional efforts. It should be ensured that what you want to communicate is in a way which the clearly understood by the consumer. And all these have to be correlated, because all marketing mix variables, these four P's which we are talking of, are interrelated and interdependent. One will affect the other. So you have to decide based on your market, your product, what is the best mix, in what combination they should be used so that they result into the best mix. Of course, there are four A's corresponding to the four P's. When you talk of product, then the product has to be acceptable from the customer's point of view. In terms of the product design, the brand, that. Then corresponding to price is the affordability. It has two dimensions: ability to pay and then willingness to pay. He may have the ability to pay but may not be willing to pay, so he will not buy it. So price related to affordability, related in turn to the ability to pay and willingness to pay. Accessibility is related to the place, where the product is available, and whether that is a place where the person can conveniently approach. How convenient this is. More convenient, more likely to purchase. Promotion, making people aware of your product, your product's features, your product's price, place where it is available, to persuade them to buy. It's related to the awareness of the brand as well as knowledge about the product. Marketing strategy has to be a proper mix of the four P's of the marketing with reference to a particular target group. The target group or group of customers is called marketing segment. When we talk of marketing strategy, we talk of the segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Short term used for this is STP, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Before we go on to the process of segmentation, targeting, and positioning, we'd like to tell you about the need for the scanning the environment. Just like we as human beings, we survive in an environment which is conducive to our upbringing, our growth. Like these is a lot of talk of pollution in the environment, sound pollution, the air quality index, and all those things. Same way, for the businesses also, if they have to survive and flourish better, the environment in which they operate should be conducive. So, therefore, there is a need to scan or to assess the environment in which the firm is going to operate. That is called the marketing environment of the firm. What is the idea? Why should you do it? Is to identify changes, trends, opportunities, and threats. One term which some of you might be familiar, those who come from the commerce background, SWOT analysis, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That is all part of the environmental scanning. If the organization don't do it, then they are likely to miss so many opportunities which may come up in the organization. This can be what we call macro environment, overall broad term. Macro may refer to the demographic, economic, natural, cultural, technological, political. Demographic related to the demographic, population, economic conditions, natural resources available, technological, political setup of the day, and culture of the society as such. These, that was in the pictorial form. This is and each of them influence each other. So you can't ignore one. You have to consider all of these factors. Similarly, as we talk of macro, you have the micro environment. Micro for the companies, internal. Macro is referred to sometimes as external and micro as internal. Micro is company, the suppliers to the company, marketing intermediaries, your competition, general public, customers. Here, I would like to clarify that distinction between micro and macro may not be watertight. So when we talk of national economy, something which is at the national level, macro may be the international conditions. When we talk of a regional or a particular industry, macro may be with reference to the national economy, national political level, and all those things. When we talk of a particular unit, particular industrial unit, then whatever is obtaining in that industry may be part of macro for that, and other may be internal. So depending upon the situation and the reference point, the macro and micro may be interchangeable in certain references. Demographic environment, going into slight details about these macro factors. Study of the population, people, their age distribution, occupation, religious background. We are not going into details because of again we have limited time at our disposal. Natural environment in terms of the availability of raw materials, climatic conditions, energy availability, pollution levels, and regulations related to that. Economic environment, the general state of the economy, like say recently during lockdown conditions, economy was virtually at standstill. There was downfall in the GDP, and of course some of the workforce had problem getting the proper income. And now, of course, we are back to the normal. Things are improving. So all this becomes part of the at particular point of time, but in the economic environment for the organization. Technological changes influence, the way things are produced. Technology may help us improve the quality of goods. Technology may help us, like say IT penetration and mobile penetration has made it possible for the e-commerce to develop. If the digital technology was not there, it would not have been possible. Now even the digital technology is used as a marketing tool also. Socioculture, society which we live in. Each society has its own beliefs, values, lifestyles, which keep changing. Culture, all aspects of society, such as religion, knowledge, language, laws, customs, traditions, all this becomes part of a culture. Political, which is the party in power at the center. Broad categories are considered as the labor-oriented, left-leaning, or capital-oriented, right-leaning. Broad categories. There could be other combinations and this thing. Depending upon the legal system may also be different. More favorable to the capitalist, more favorable to the labor, like that. It may be like the taxation laws, whether the taxes are more for the business firms or taxes are less for the business firms, will make a lot of difference in terms of the cost of production for the business houses. Consumer is the ultimate target whom the marketers try to convince about the quality of his product and why he should buy his product vis-a-vis the competition. Any failure on the part of marketer will result in the business not taking off, and finally the firm will fail. And of course, with the customer also, factors to be identified, to be monitored include what need he has, what is his purchasing power, how does he buy. Buying behavior basically means how does he buy the products normally, and whether he keeps on changing, whether his preferences keep changing from time to time, or he is consistent. So like some people buy a product, they buy one particular brand and they stick to that brand. Others will keep on trying the new things. Intermediaries are those who are your channels of distribution, both sides, in terms of storing of supplies and in terms of making goods available to buyers. Competition goes very few industries, but most of the time, some competition is bound to be there, and there may be entry barriers in terms of how easily you can enter that particular market, and it may be regulated by the government also. In certain areas, the government regulations may be rigid; in other areas, it may not be rigid. Suppliers, these are all part of your environment. These are the constituents of your environment. What has changed recently in the Indian environment is there is a change from seller's market to buyer's market. Like one example is that like you had say 15-20 years back only two brands of cars in the market, Fiat and the Ambassador. Now you are spoiled for your choice. That is it, change from seller's market to the buyer's market. Mobile revolution has come, so many smartphones are there, internet penetration has increased, growth of e-commerce has happened. services economy has gone up. These are the changes which have happened in the Indian environment. How do you do this scanning? How do you do that environmental scanning or SWOT analysis? You do the market research. For that, market research basically involves a systematic way of gathering, recording, analyzing the data relating to the marketing of goods. And this comes all the fields: product, price, distribution, advertising, promotion, publicity, external environment. All could be part of the market research. Market research could be related to all these areas: customer, advertising, product, distribution, sales, environment. As we progress in our course of lessons further, we'll be maybe going into the details, but we are just now making you familiar with these aspects, that marketing research may be required and may be required in all the fields of the market areas. What is the process involved? The first stage is identifying the problem and defining it properly. Then going for a research design, that how will you do the research. Having finalized the design, then you may go for the actual field work. In that field work basically involves going to the field to collect the data as per your research design. Having collected the data, next stage is analyzing that data for the purpose of reaching some conclusions. Because collection of data is useful only when you are able to analyze it, reach some conclusion which will help you in the decision-making process. If you are not able to do that, then all this work is useless. Then having reached some conclusions, then the whole thing has to be presented in a report so that people know what all has happened, what are the recommendations, and then how do you implement, and actual implementation of that. We are not going into the details of these steps, but just be familiar that first stage is problem research. Then deciding the design basically is that what will be your research instruments, sampling plan, what will be the cost involved for these. Then data collection. Data may be primary data which you collect yourself, or secondary data which you collect which has been collected by some other organization and you are making use of it. Instruments may include questionnaire, qualitative measures, technical devices, fieldwork, collection, data analysis, classifying the data, report presentation. It may be advisable to prepare a detailed report as well as what we call an executive summary, so that those who cannot go through the details are able to go through the executive summary of the recommendations made. And the recommendations, the findings and observations may be made in tabular form, graphical form, and all those things. Then we had talked of as part of this segmentation, targeting, and positioning. A market, as we had mentioned earlier, that demand for a particular product with reference to a general need may be referred to as the market. Now, same need can be there, but segments may be different. Like say, you buy stamps, you may buy stamps for usage as a postage. You want to post something, you buy the stamps for postage. Or you may be one who is in the philately, you collect stamps. So you may buy that first day stamps, first day covers for collection purpose only. So product is there, two different persons are buying, but their purpose is different. So they belong to two different market segments. Similarly, a bicycle, a person may be buying a bicycle for commuting to the office and back, or a person, he may be a rich person having a car for going to the office and back or to the factory and back, but he buys a bicycle as a health aid, for the purpose of instead of going to the gym, he uses that bike at home, stationary bike, for the exercise purpose. Again, same product, slightly different variant, but used by people for two different purposes. So they belong to two different market segments. So based on the similarities of the people and the differences in their why the people buy the products, we can divide the whole market into different segments. People who have similar aspirations, similar needs are brought together. That is one market segment. People who have slightly different perceptions, maybe for the similar product or the same product, they are in a part of a different market segment because they belong to a different subclass of the market. So this process of making a distinction between different subsets or subclasses of the customers is what is known as the process of market segmentation. Basically, the process is dividing the market into different sections, different groups, so that you can decide which particular subset you will be willing to serve. Of course, it can be carried to an extreme where you can, the subset may be smaller and smaller. Extreme case will be niche marketing where you are catering to a very small group or maybe just one person. Like say you have for clothing, you have a market for the ready-made clothes, and niche is when you actually go to a tailor, buy the clothes, go to the tailor, and he takes measurements for you and stitches the suit exclusively for you. It can be that small. And of course, these segments may keep changing. It may not be possible that there will be no change in the segment. They are not watertight. They may keep changing over a period of time. What is the benefit by segmentation? Each firm has limited resources, and it may not be possible for it to cater to the whole lot of people or the potential customers available. Dividing the market into sub-segments will help the firm decide which particular group, which particular segment of the market it is willing to target, which it will be able to serve better than its competition. It may happen that in certain areas there is no competition, certain areas where the competition is underperforming. So, if you are able to decide that and concentrate on that, focus your energies on that smaller segment, then you are able to achieve better customer satisfaction. Now, whether the segments are actually effective, the process of segmentation, whether it is really useful or not. Segments may not be mutually exclusive, but the process of segmentation is yes, it helps you in concentrating, focusing on a smaller group, and to that extent, it helps in the marketing process. And marketing segmentation may not be only on the basis of the product, it may be based on the price, it may be based on the positioning, it may be based on the distribution channel, how the things are distributed. Where the differences between the products are marginal, very little, there the segmentation process may not be very effective. How do you segment on what basis? It will be based on the what benefits the people are seeking from the product. Like we mentioned about the philately, postage stamp. One person is buying postage stamp for the purpose of posting a product, another is buying it for the purpose of collection. Or the bicycle example we have taken. It may be based on the geographical areas, rural, urban, region, state, nation, climatic conditions. See the like north is having extreme winter and extreme summer conditions, whereas south is hardly having any winter. So the demand for certain products may not be there. There will be no demand for the woolens in the south, southern and South India. Demography, population, age, gender, family size, income, occupation. That could have, any of these could be the basis of segmentation. Psychographic, what are the people's interests, their activities, their opinions. Based on that, also you could segment the market. Values and lifestyle of the people. How how much is the usage rate? Some people use the thing occasionally. Some people use it regularly. How loyal are the people to a particular brand, or they are not? Or maybe segment could be by generation. Younger lot, middle aged, senior people or teenagers, they call it these days. Even based on that, there could be a change. Similarly, as is for consumer markets, similarly there could be segmentation for the organizational or industrial markets also. It could be based on the type of consumer and user, size of the customer, major or minor accounts, or the type of buying situation, whether it is being bought for the first time, whether it is being rebought with a modified preference, modification of the purchase order, or it may be a rebuy straightway as it is without any change. Targeting, to repeat, we as a marketeer will not be able to serve the whole market as such because of limitation of resources. Any of the organization will have a limitation of resources. So you try to look at what particular segment, having done the segmentation, should be your target market on whom you should be concentrating for the purpose of all the marketing activities. Of course, if the firm has more resources, it may pick up more than one segments. It may not be only one segment. It may target more than one. Of course, the marketing mix of the 4 Ps may be different for each market segment. That is the thing which a firm may have to decide, depending on the situation obtaining. Company may focus more on the, depending on where it has the advantage, it may be focusing more on the production, finance, personnel, etc. And while deciding picking up the market, you will have to look at what is the size, not only the current size, what is the growth potential. If there's no growth potential, then it may not be worth focusing on, may not be worth targeting. What are the risks involved? What kind of profits you will be making? What the competition is doing there? What kind of competition you will face? Whether you will face competition in terms of the promotion, whether you will be facing competition in terms of the product or in terms of the price. Because it may be possible that yours is the first time you are entering the market, or that there are already well-established competitors in the market. So how much will it cost to enter that particular market, and how much you are likely to gain? So that cost benefit analysis will have to be made before you decide to target a particular market. And whether that particular segment is durable enough, like it will not be like fashion segments. They are not stable. Fashion or the fads, the preferences of the customers keep change very fast. So in those segments, there will be change quickly. They won't be durable. And people may keep on moving, from one segment to the other segment, depending upon, like say, I am in one income segment today. I move on to the other income segment tomorrow. So I may move on to another market segment. So all these considerations have to be there while targeting the market, and whether the target market is easily accessible for you. It may not be. All other things may be suitable, but it is not easy to reach that market for you. You identify a market, a rural segment that's somewhere deep south, and if you are based in, say, northern area, it may not be accessible for you. There may be others for whom it is more easily accessible. They will be able to target it much better than you. This is again based on all these criteria, you have to do the evaluation and then do the selection. It may be based on the product, it may be based on the particular market, or you may, if you are having large resources, government decide to do the full market coverage also. Positioning is now you try to make an image in the mind of the customer about your product. Like say one example which can be taken here is say soaps. Why do we buy soap? Soap, the basic purpose is bathing. Bathing is for the purpose of cleanliness, hygiene. Now you find soaps, there are so many different brands from the different firms which are there. And each of them they try to position their product differently with minor variation. Like one jingle which you remember, Lifebuoy. Lifebuoy hai jahan, tandrusti hai wahan. What they're trying to emphasize on is health, hygiene. Or say Dettol soap, germs, emphasis is on the germs. Or say some of these premium brands, Lux Supreme, Dove, Pears, they market their soap not as a soap but as a beauty aid. Their jingle or the lines which are associated with the promotion are soft skin, glowing skin, like that. So what they are trying to do? They are trying to create a certain image about their product, according to which the customer will have a certain perception. That perception will be the basis on which the customer is going to buy the product. Whether his preference is for the something which is gives him the glowing skin and is a beauty aid, or something which gets help him rid of the germs, or something which helps him rid of the general hygiene, get the general hygiene, get rid of the dirt and all. So it is all the purpose is to create a perception in the mind of the image with reference to your product as referred to by the competitor. So this may be done high level of marketing communication, but through different medias, social media, print media, TV, other things. So, of course, it may not be possible for the customer to make use of all that information which is being made available. Though all consumers act in a rational manner, but the capacity to absorb all that information, process that information, and not only capacity, the time availability to process that all information may be limited. So positioning has to take into account that customer. Of course, that is why you find that there is repeat promotion of the product, because it is understood that everything will not be retained by the customer. So if you are able to do it effectively, then the sense of that brand is easily conveyed, and customer is able to identify what benefits he will be able to get from the customer. So promotion becomes more effective. Well, for developing a positioning strategy, you do the industry analysis, competition analysis, positioning of your competition. You try to find out what are the points of difference, what are the points of parity. So you try to find out what is more profitable, what is more affordable for the customer, and what is preemptive as far as the competition is concerned. So the competition is not able to compete with you easily. And accordingly, you decide the positioning theme. What will be your positioning? You may refer to your competitor's product in your positioning, you may not refer. So if you refer, it is called explicit. If you don't refer, it is called implicit. You may position based on the price, and of course, positioning can be, under positioning or over positioning, depending upon, like say, what what is perception of the consumer. It may change. So accordingly, you may have to do the over positioning or under positioning. We are coming to the end of today's session. Hope I have been able to give you an overview of these topics. We'll continue on this in the next class. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, that it is just to give you an overview because of time constraint. We are not able to go into the details, but I expect that broad idea of the subject is very well conveyed. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.